Well, hello there, everyone. It's 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and just to give you the point in history where we are, it's the 25th of October 2014, and I'm just currently doing what I thought would be a written article, and then something inside me said, no, I'm not going to do a written article. I'm going to do an audio version of what I was going to write, because I feel that people gain more from hearing the voice, and some people genuinely have difficulty reading. And due to popular demand, people were wanting to know once again what was going on with me. So this is kind of like an update from my journals, but in an audio version. I've been keeping journals. They were originally called Journals of a MyLab. It's something I'm working on. But October this month has been horrendous in terms of attacks, in terms of people being attacked, and in terms of people being stalked and followed and being attacked on the internet, and by mind control as well. To all intents and purposes, for the cover-up to work, you've first got to believe that I'm a raving tinfoil hat loon who's off my titties, and in that's how it works, ladies and gentlemen. So I thought to myself that by doing an audio version of what I'm about to, or what I was going to write, people might just get a different vibe in some way. I was thinking that was my thoughts, because there's a nefarious comedy being played out behind the scenes here, a very nefarious one that doesn't seem to know the boundaries of time and space. It was interesting to note that I was watching a guy the other day called Steve Huff of Huff Paranormal, and he was using electronic voice phenomena, and he was using all kinds of spirit boxes and devices. And what I'm about to talk about, is something called Tony Topping Interactions with Aliens Across the Continuum. Originally, this article was going to be called From Metropolis to Andromeda. The question is why? And I say the Metropolis because we're going to talk about London, and we're going to talk about the strange visions that I have been having, and we're going to talk about the life in general that I'm leading at the moment, which is quite heavy going due to all the targeting. Controversially so, we read in the headlines at the moment of nation's security being affected by radicalised people and by all manner of things, and it cannot be ruled out in terms of national security that this technology exists in the hands of the nefarious, and it's at the nefarious where our dark comedy is working, because behind the scenes it is a dark comedy. So this was going to be called Tony Topping Interaction with Aliens Across the Continuum, and I was also going to actually call it The Real World of Doctor Who Style Activities on the Streets of London, as we will see. A few months ago I had some very extraordinary visions regarding the world in general, and these visions were connected with off-world visitation. It was to do with UFOs. Now immediately your mind will just go, the tinfoil hat wearing loon, he's off his head. What's he talking about now? He's talking about UFOs. Oh, he's talking about Peter. The thing is that we have a mindset in this world. We have a hive mind mentality that goes on, but yet this dark, comically played game of the existence that we are not alone, the existence of UFOs, sorry, the existence we're not alone, and the fact that it continues behind the scenes, and our governments are aware and have covered it up, and some governments are being dictated to, and elements of governments are speaking to them, is very real at this point in human history, as it will be further down the timeline, because time and space-time continuum is what this is all about. Now, this is an insight in my continual evolution with my experiences for interested parties who are aware we are not alone. Russia being one of those nations, America, and of course my own government. When we say government, however, we have to remember that it's a two-tiered thing. I always think that there's white governments and there's black governments, and it's an insight into the mental components that drives the true real-life scenario of public contact with UFOs against a nefarious cover-up in place to which the public are not aware of, which is very true indeed. And journals have been kept by me and have not been looked at for a number of years. Further, At that time of writing, or at this time of writing in October 2014, should I say, the remote mind control harassment does move like a bizarre comedy, and the ethics of all involved in what has been going on with me has to be questioned, because there are some serious worrying problems here. This technology is out there to control somebody's mind, and I cannot rule out that I have been the victim of the deployment of exotic technology experimentation. I cannot leave any stone unturned in the journey to find out what has happened to me. For those of you who don't know, I've been filmed by unmarked helicopters. I've had strange goings on over my home with strange objects, and followed by what I could only describe are lunatics who carry the diplomatic immunity of the secret state upon them. As to which secret state we're dealing with, I don't know. But there you go. But if anybody's under the illusion that the Prime Minister or somebody is sat in an office somewhere targeting me, it doesn't work like that in real life. We have compartmentalised security access, many layers deep into this subject, which means the right hand will not know what the left hand is doing. Now, this is a fascinating journey into this area that I'm going to talk about. Over the past 2 weeks, it's been quite a nightmare with the targeting. I'm very lucky in the sense that I'm still sat here alive at the moment, but it has been quite a nightmare, and it's all to do with the way communications and signals operate with all this. That's what it's to do with. The Canadian government did conclude to Wilbert Smith, as I think the American government did, that there's a mental component behind the UFO phenomena, which there is, and it's held in a certain environment that I would describe as similar to Jung's collective unconsciousness. And I can only think that the conclusions of these activities remain that with me anyway, that interactions occurred with non-human intelligence across the landscape of thought, time and space. And I call all interactions that do occur with me in this environment when I sleep, and sometimes even when I'm awake, as in continuum. So I'm therefore in continuum interaction with two groups of kind of aliens or ET or visitors, as daft as that may seem. But is it daft when you look at the latest approaches in quantum physics? If you look at the work of David Bohm and a few others, it's not that mysterious, ladies and gentlemen. It's not that daft. It's a game that's being played out straight in front of our eyes, really, from ancient times to present. As with most mainstream media, I think the people involved or appear to have UFO encounters are crazy, labelled as, and yet when you go deeper and deeper into the research, you discover that the military intelligence people, the army, the air forces of this world have studied this closely, and have studied the people who have had interaction, and I've been for a number of years targeted with some very nasty technology. I think Ingo Swann, who was the head of the US remote viewing program, was very wise to point out that in some cases they are vehicles, or people are vehicles for something else that is using them to look through and into our world with a careless disregard for how those actions impact on our lives. As Colonel Corso said, like him or hate him, as Colonel Phil Corso said in his book The Day After Roswell, and his other book as well, which I managed to get a copy of, it is indeed an ethical question. They don't appear to be bothered about human ethics. I think that the ethical issue about what they do with human beings is an issue among these visitors, and it all doesn't happen in our time as well. For them, time runs very differently. Their technology flows through time. They have time travel technology. It is easy to say that they don't, but they do, and this is part of the comedy. This is part of the rather hilarious comedy of elites go on behind the scenes. We have elites in our world. They have elites. We have elites. We have an elite class of individuals that rule over us. You know, it's quite true. It's quite present that this is going on, and I'm a man who has had these unusual experiences and doesn't know why, and is trying to investigate war. I know from research that the KGB unit and the US remote viewers, I suggest that the KGB unit that was doing remote viewing and psychic spying, and the US remote viewing unit as well, would have seen what I'm talking about, which is the continuum, to be occupied by non-human intelligences. And it's within this theatre of operation that the UFO occupants communicate, I do feel. I'm talking about this at a rudimentary level, and it gives a very vital insight into my experiences. And if that was not enough, it also appears that time and future is happening all the time in this environment. Now that is amazing, that time and future is happening all the time in the continuum environment is absolutely incredible, because it means that if you met somebody on Earth that was in the continuum, there's a distinct possibility that you're in his time and they're in your time, and time does not exist. In other words, history meets in the middle. What I'm proposing is in fact rudimentary time travel, but that's another story, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Alexei Savin, the former head of the KGB Unit 10,003, or should we say it was called Troop 10,003, gave an interview to Russia's news magazine Pravda. Now, the Russian media, and Russia does not have a halo around its head, but the Russian media will quite calmly chat away to their generals about all this, and Alexei Savin was one of their key players in the psychic espionage game. And Pravda and Russian journalists just interviewed him about his opinions. There was no ridicule, as there is in the West, and it was interesting because they used something called information channel operators. The US had a term for them. It was commonly called remote viewers, but the Russians called them female information channel operators. And it's interesting to note that they reached some conclusions when remote viewing or speaking to what they believed were extraterrestrial intelligences. It's certainly true to say that they had information exchanges with them at the sensorial level that were medical related. Nothing military at all was given away by these ETs, because they are aware of that we do have the power to destroy each other, and that had an extraordinary impact on me in the month of May, as we'll discover later on during the course of this audio report to you all. Now, the disruption of my interaction during the last 2 weeks, it's been heavy harassment, and it has taken place to interrupt and disrupt my interaction with these visitors across the continuum, which has at times been quite terrifying, including being awoken at all hours. And it's not a pleasant thing, this, what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It isn't. Now, remember, for the cover-up to work, you've got to think that the guy speaking now is wearing the tinfoil hat, loon hat. You've got to think that in order for this to work. And in order for this nefarious technology, which is mind control, some people in our society are targeted by mind control full-on, without the UFO element. I was targeted with mind control because of the UFO element that happened. Now, the UFO element could be anything. No stone is left unturned. I just have to assume, and I've got to, that perhaps these UFO interactions are the product of exotic military technology development, or they are what they are, which is interaction with something that is off-world. I think that the latter is probably true. Sorry, the former, should I say, is probably true, or it could be a combination of the two. I'm undecided at this point in time. I think unmistakably, when I think deeply about this, that I am being visited by things since the UFOs came in over my house in 1999. And we'll come to that in a moment. We're leading up to something. We're actually gearing up to something very important here, which is the nefarious comedy that is being played out behind the scenes here regarding my experiences. And I'm also doing this to cover myself. Now, yeah, so interaction this week alone has been disrupted, and there has been a disregard for ethics. There is a disregard for ethics, even though some of these visitors would say that part of this is generated by the self. It's all right for them when you're sat through hell. It's all right for them to just sit back and do nothing and watch. And that's what they do. They're very good at doing that. So the ethics has to be questioned. Nothing can be trusted. And Colonel Philip Corso, I remember quite well, from his research to do with Roswell, indicated that the Foreign Technology Division of the US military who observed the UFOs always looked at these visitors as if it was a foreign power with foreign technology. One of the ET groups, which are the Nordic blonde type, and our governments are aware that they are in existence, indicated during my interactions that the UK has known of them since about 1960, and it is also said that the US Army could tell if Nordic craft were in an area via signals intelligence back in the 1970s. They could tell by the craft signature that it was them, but they could never fathom out, according to some reports I've listened to, what they were doing here or what they were up to. In Zulu folklore, for example, the term Wazugu refers to a tall, blonde male from the stars above. Does not refer to what we call today the Western European male, as everybody thinks. It was the first people that they actually saw, and it's written in their folklore. So, for some reason, the monitoring of the activities by the US and the UK takes place by these groups as well, so it's as if our nations are monitored. Not sure why that is, but that appears to be what's into the interactions that are going on with me appear to be a business interaction, and they are, or I am aware, I am witnessing the fact they're speaking to someone which is a mysterious third party. This third party is human, but we don't know who they are, and we don't know why they're speaking to them, but they are. And as a byproduct of this, they interact with me, and the interactions are unmistakable. And one of the main secrets about them is they look like me and you. They don't look alien as portrayed in the films and the movies, although some do, but in the majority of cases they look like us with subtle differences in the facial features, and they live in galaxies far away, and the universe is populated. And this is scientific heresy. What I'm speaking now is, in this day and age, heresy, which is quite unbelievable, isn't it? What I'm proposing is, I think, heresy it will be classed as. So yeah, so what you are about to read, or what I'm about to read to you from my journal, is interaction of events with two ET groups that have happened over a 2-week period in October 2014. It is important, I think, to separate the nefarious noise from the real signal across the continuum. Because that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a continuum. In simple terms, space and time and dimensions are all one idea. So we have 3 dimensions and the 4th time. And this is where it's all going on. This is where it's all actually happening. And I was talking earlier on about Steve Huff, who was using ghost boxes to communicate. He had a fascinating interaction on his ghost box with Robin Williams. It's on YouTube, where he came through from the spirit world. And I'm listening to the voices of these individuals, and I'm thinking they're in continuum, they're in space-time continuum, these individuals. And what was interesting about this EVP, the electronic voice phenomena that was coming across, was the fact that they were sending single sentences in bursts, or single two words in bursts, which is what normally happens. But they didn't seem to interact with each other. They were only sending out to Steve in burst signals, which is sometimes what goes on. And that's very important, that it is some sort of collective spiritual unconsciousness. And during the interaction on EVP, Robin turned round and said, "Can I come through? Can I? We are waiting," said Robin. Now, I'm not sure, as Steve Huff, he's not sure either whether he was speaking to Robin Williams. But it is interesting that the voice of Robin said, "I'm dead." The voice of Robin said, "I'm waiting to come through again." It was clearly and unmistakably his voice, very strong, but it was as if it was in continuum. It was as if it was in some kind of hyperspace, isolated in some way, waiting. And you could see that the slight disappointment that he'd departed from this world too early. And this is part of it all happens what I term in continuum at many levels. So this is where the UFO, and at one level, this is where interaction with UFOs and ET occurs in continuum. Of course, some very smart people in the world of signals and intelligence would attempt to tap into that continuum and monitor it. And they would be daft not to, which I think would be part of the project that I was involved in that was highly classified, using myself, and is still ongoing, using myself as a bizarre repeater system between the two layers of reality. But I'll go on a bit further. So I've got these categories, which is called in continuum. When I'm communicating with these things, I'm in continuum, and this will sometimes happen when I'm asleep. It'll happen when I'm awake as well. I do not purport at any level to be psychic. It's just I've had extraordinary paranormal experiences which I'm trying to get to the bottom of. I am aware in the United Kingdom at the moment that there are mind control projects that have been running similar to the UK equivalent of, well, no, similar to the film equivalent in the Jason Bourne movie that you saw, which which was like Blackbriar and Treadstone, and they're quite hideous. This technology was deployed on me for a number of years, as I have previously said in interviews. So what we've got the term in continuum, which is what I use when I'm talking about them in my journals. I've had to adopt my own language, as it were, to understand for the reader what's going on, because if you looked at my journals as one whole thing, you wouldn't understand them. It just looks like a blitz of noise and puzzlement and bafflement as to what is going on. So what's happening is the interaction with the ETs is interrupted in some way by other interests, and I call that a nefarious noise. And it will always happen with the ET. It always actually happens whereby in some way the actual interaction is interrupted. So it's not interrupted, it's delayed somewhat. So what will happen is if I'm an individual who's being harassed at this level, what happens is normally interaction occurs with the ETs, and then 2 days later they attempt to interrupt it because there is a delay. They can't get it on real time, and they can't locate where their signal source is, where the ETs are signaling from, or what frequency they're on, or anything like that. But somehow some parties of the human race have managed to suss out what's going on. So this is about helping those individuals, and it's about helping people understand what is happening. I think that the world was saved a few months ago. I really do, from all this. You wouldn't believe what's going on behind the scenes would have an impact on world affairs, but I think it is. So when we have these interactions going on, when they're speaking to me and then they're speaking to somebody else, which I believe is a human third party, I term this interaction to parties, or ITP, and the time of communication when they're communicating through me is not known. So I don't know in what time, date or year they are communicating with me. I'm not sure where they are in our time frame, these ETs, but they're definitely there. And these two alien parties, shocking though it may seem, one is from the Andromeda Galaxy, and one is from a dimensional race, and they are communicating with unique signatures and animation. So it's not just the aggressive, harsh human mind control, which is absolutely wicked. These parties, these off-world visitors, you have their own signatures, and especially the blonde grouping, they have their own unique animations and drawings, which have this quite a Mayan feel to them, really. Quite an ancient feel to them if they wanted to. But it's unmistakable when they start interacting. Their signature is unmistakable, which leads us to events on the 14th of May 2014, where the Nordic group, the blonde group, made their appearances felt across the continuum as tensions in Ukraine crept up on the world stage. Now, Russia is a nation where we are not alone, and clearly would have understood this red flag warning as across the continuum to a mysterious third party, which I believe is human, a warning was given. It is no coincidence on that day I was filming with Channel 4 at a very important location in London, in Victoria, near an organisation that impacts on world events. It was carefully, unmistakably them. They knew exactly what they were doing, this group, and they knew. They turned up and they knew exactly what they were saying, exactly what they were doing. They don't do anything for nothing. And they were showing these people that we were 15 minutes to midnight away from war with all this. So perhaps we will notice, and thank goodness, that Russia has de-escalated its massing on the Ukrainian border. America, of course, carries on with its nefarious interests in the world and attempts as it did in the Ukraine, and this is all gearing up to something that could be quite unpleasant for us all in the years ahead if we are not careful. Now, during the period of harassment that has lasted a number of years, my harassers have mysteriously stalked me for the want of a child. And it continues to this day, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a dark comedy, there's no getting away from it. So, if you wish to think at this point, Loon, please move away, there's nothing for you to see. If you are interested in the nefarious game, the future of our world, and what is going on behind the scenes, then please read on, and please listen on, dear leader, please do. So it continues to this day, this harassment, and so the only way to ensure some form of protection is to talk about the game as it's being played. There was no wish for me at any time to understand what was happening, and it has taken me a number of years to realise my controllers do not like any lens of awareness upon them, and in some circles what I talk of excuse me, is only known by a few people. Only known by an elite few. What I'm talking about here, we deal with people. There's only probably below 40 people, 50 people in this world that know what I'm talking about here. They do. One element in the US military will probably certainly know what I'm talking about here, and we're trying to look at the situation through a lens of what's the word I'm looking for? Awareness, really. Unfortunately, real life and interaction with UFOs, it's not all airy-fairy spiritual. The Space Brothers have come to see us. It's just nothing like that in real life, as we'll discover. And it actually takes us, as I said, I was going to call it Doctor Who on the streets of London, because it takes us to this nefarious, well, not a nefarious story. That's my favourite word of the moment. I don't mean what I'm talking about now is not nefarious. It's more of a story that was buried on the internet that people actually ask me about continually, and that is that it takes us to the curious story of London and the continual unique iconography that is so off-world by those we call aliens in the continuum. You wouldn't believe it, readers and listeners. You really, really wouldn't. But there you go. And in the continuum, when I'm asleep, continual dreams come my way of meeting someone over the past month, in October of this month. There has been continual dreams come my way of meeting someone in Canary Wharf and of a presence not human. Article 10 of human rights applies here in the freedom of expression before anybody has any ideas. Now, it resides in the area of Canary Wharf. These dreams keep coming of an individual, of a person that isn't human in the area of Canary Wharf. And it's interesting, it keeps pointing to Canary Wharf. Now, I have to think, three things I have to think. Is it what I'm saying? Is it the product of exotic technology? Or am I having a precognitive dream about some kind of incident occurring there? I am not sure, but this seems to be what's happening. And so in order to protect myself in some way, publicity is the name of the game. I have to get it out there. I have to say what's just going on. Now, there are in Britain elements of the special forces, I would suggest, elements of individuals who have to deal with such matters like this, downed UFOs, interaction with them. You have to be, and I have to say that it's heavy going mentally. I'm exhausted, mentally broken because of it all. But you do have to be of a certain mental kind of, and I wouldn't certainly call it stability, a mental perception, a mental awareness, a trained eye, as it were, for this kind of thing. You have to get used to it. It's a normalisation process of being aware that this is going on around you while people go about their daily business completely oblivious. And so these dreams continued, and it leads us to the surreal tale of a member of the Special Boat Service. It is said that the Special Boat Service were used quite a bit in these matters, and there's a very interesting history of the Special Boat Service and the Special Air Service actually being deployed to Antarctica in defence of the UK, battling mysterious forces, which even could be classed as alien. They were called the Polar Men in Antarctica under something called Operation Tamerlan. Not a lot of people know this, but it is very true to say that the British were in Antarctica tracking unknown forces before the Americans were with their ill-fated Operation High Jump. The British always seem to be one step ahead, and probably our government is most secretive about all this and what goes on. But yes, so this is the story then of an SBS man who was being kind of like tasked to do something quite specific with a unit of people on the London Underground. And it's the strange tale of non-humans, I keep an open mind by the way, on the London Underground, and the mystery of them being followed by the SBS. And it shapes what's happened to me in the last fortnight, does this little tale. It also gives me a very vivid memory of the usual directed conversation surveillance techniques. There's a technique called directed conversation surveillance, which is used so often on targeted individuals, and this is the real world of Doctor Who style activities on the streets of London. When I got off the train at King's Cross, two women walked past me. I think the year was 2010. And the two women in question looked odd. In fact, the woman on the phone was very blonde, and her complexion was flawless, and it was. Flawless, never forget it. And that is what stood out. And her friend was brunette, who gleefully smiled at me, while the blonde woman said into her phone, "Yes, he is currently on his mobile phone right now," and it was said aloud, so I could hear it. Now, I was on my mobile phone, and I'd walked straight past her, but I remember her friend who was with her gleefully smiling at me, and this woman on the mobile phone talking. Now, when you're being watched at this level, and if you're not trained to deal with it or watch out for it, the mind does not register that what has just happened. And this is what happened to me. I noticed continually that my mind doesn't quite click in until 2 to 3 days later that it actually happened. Because it did. Nowadays I'm a bit more aware. But yes, this is what happens. The part of the mind does not register, and yet as crazy as it would appear, a trained eye that has dealt with high strange events for a number of years knows when individuals do not look right or stand out in a crowd and are, to put it bluntly, not from around here. So we go a bit Torchwood, dear listener, a bit Torchwood. You might think that what I'm saying is absolutely just far out, which it is. Even I have a job on comprehending it, but it's true. That is true, that a trained eye can know what is standing out in the crowd and what isn't. No doubt, perhaps, this, there's a strange drawing on the internet, actually, that I came across that says two women. It's an animation drawing of two women in the Nordic Bay. It was called Nordics in the Bay Area. And these two women in this little picture are wearing distinctive white jumpers and have flawless complexions. The blonde lady stands out. I'm not sure enough in the drawing. I'm not sure, but it's kind of like the lady was more brunette, I think, than this other lady in the image one I'm looking at now. But it just reminded me of them, and so I thought I'd just download that. And over the past 2 weeks, Canary Wharf has been the come visit me signal. Come to Canary Wharf. It's been this visit me signal which has been received constantly from a female in that area. Now I know what you're thinking, that I have somehow made this all up, and yet what is going on is darkly comical, and it's actually true and happening and is quite nefarious. Now, I probably would hazard a very surreal guess as to what that is, but I've got to think in terms of practicality that there's something going on. It's not a product, it's something exterior. I personally have to go with the fact that it's exotic technology being tried and tested, and signalling technology being tried and tested. I've got to go with that one. But I have to also be aware in my mind of the nefarious and the fact that the elites and the esoteric does move behind the scenes all the time, constantly, which it does. So I've got to be aware of these situations. And the tale gets even more curious as I found buried in the internet the remarks of a former, well, it was remarks of a witness to the comments of a former special boat officer regarding apprehension of some strange people on the London Underground who he believed were not of this earth. And it begins with an account that was heard several years ago about a contact experience with Nordic-type beings that may be of interest, so says the guy who heard this. And on the forum where they wrote this, there's a few areas of internet that is sympathetic to these types of experiences. There are a few forums on the internet that are sympathetic to that. Now, I'll attempt to convey the story in as much detail as possible. Now, just then, something quite bizarre happened as I was speaking. Like an echo, and sometimes, in some cases on my radio show, I had a mysterious insert appear in the jingles, a wow insert, and it was inserted in the jingle of my radio show, and I didn't put it there. Now something's just happened just then, like an echo or return. That was interesting. I don't know what that was about, but I don't know whether you heard it, listener, and I'll have to play it back to see if I heard anything. But yes, there we go. So, I first heard this account, says the witness, from someone he had met in Wiltshire one summer, and they had told this person about... This person indicated that he was involved in the special boat service, and he had told this individual what he had to do on the London Underground. Now, it's interesting because it has been documented. The activities of Operation Tamerlan is documented and has not altered for over 10 years when the witness was first interviewed and then second interviewed again. Operation Tamerlan is about British involved in Antarctica, chasing on the scene of something where they were chasing something, an intelligence called the Polar Men, something the equivalent of the Yeti. Not quite heard of in the mainstream UK, but that's what happened there. So in the heart of Crop Circle country in Alton Barnes, Wiltshire, the tale is told about a man who was sat in a group of individuals who were sat round a campfire swapping stories on UFOs. And a girl persuaded this man, who was being very quiet, just to talk to the group. Now, he said, this gentleman, that he claimed that he was once in the SBS, or the Special Boat Service, which is a lesser-known special intelligence service like the SAS. It's not I don't think in the fact that it's not lesser-known, it's just that I understand that it is really tasked with very unorthodox and unique jobs that need doing within the framework of government and all that kind of thing. Then it's SBS that get that. Now, he was told to travel to London Underground to South Kensington Tube Station, and if memory serves him correctly, when he boarded a train, the supervisor with him pointed out two women on the train that he was ordered to take away. These females were tall, blonde and blue-eyed and had the appearance of twins. Now, the two women I saw did not have the appearance of twins. He described them as having quite high foreheads and that they were the most beautiful women he had seen with perfect physiques. Now, these women did not have quite high foreheads, but their facial features, their complexions were just standing out in the crowd. That was the thing, they stood out in the crowd. And that's what I found the most odd, especially the blonde lady, whose complexion was, and her forehead was completely clear. I wouldn't describe it as large, but there was just something that stood out with them. It was all a bit odd. But he described, the SBS man, how everyone else on the train seemed to be in a trance and reacted to the abduction of two people from a public train with kind of complete indifference. Now, he had not been told where they were being abducted, and he was concerned for their safety, and as he took them away, he said that they conveyed a feeling of peace towards him. Looking at some research, Ingo Swann, one of the founders of America's remote viewing programs, has a similar story to tell, which I'll look up later. I've not got the research to hand at the moment, but he does have a similar story to tell of this interaction going on, and I certainly have another story to tell on the issue, which is, I find it darkly hilarious what happened to me, but it distracts from the context of what I'm saying, so that's for another time. But yeah, so he took them away. He said that they conveyed a feeling of peace towards him. The man had been very concerned that he may have been indirectly responsible for bringing these two women into harm's way. It was after about a week or two that he was sitting in a restaurant in Canary Wharf, London, when one of the two women that he had abducted came over to his table and smiled at him. I think abducted is the wrong word. I think it was arrested, but on the account I read it said here abducted. He came over. The woman in question came over to his table and smiled at him and generally conveyed that they were safe to him and that there was no need to worry. Now, over the past 2 weeks, dear listener, a most horrendous time has been had regarding this, and I was awoken at 1:30 one morning from the words, "Hi Tony, I have left my calling card, please come and visit me." Now, is it a communication with something alien among us, or is it continual testing of exotic mind control technology? Nothing can be ruled out, but that is what happened. Now, nothing can be ruled out, but awoken, and I'm awoken kind of like when these things happen, I'm awoken on the hour. Half past the hour, always on the hour, half past the hour. It's roughly that. So it's always on the hour or half past the hour, never any different. That's it. So because there is the argument, well, this could be the product of schizophrenia, but as I understand it, with that situation, it's erratic. But the timings with the harassment have always been on the hour or on the half hour. exactly. Now, it sets the background to the activity across the continuum, what I've been talking about, which does seem to highlight Canary Wharf with their own iconic iconography and their own animations that they use, these groups across the continuum. They seem to highlight Canary Wharf in London as something from the film Metropolis. As a signals analysis for interesting parties, we can divide what's happening here, this communication that's going on in continuum that involves me, into two signal channels. If you can imagine that it's two signal channels, one I shall call channel 1 and the other will be channel 2. It appears that channel 2 is occupied by those wishing to disrupt activity except that they are unable to see or hear, but they roughly know that channel 1 is out there, but they're not sure where. And the dimensional group, the ET group, because there is dimensions involved here, so the dimensional group of people that are kind of like our nearest dimensional neighbours, not just intergalactic or galaxy, but they are our nearest dimensional neighbours. They are active in continuum also, and they make themselves known to me every time I see them, which, if we were to separate the journals apart, isn't really that often in the grand scheme of things, but the noise is horrendous. If we were to look at this, they make themselves known to me every time they appear by building a bridge across to their world, and I always refer to that as crossing the bridge. I will have no memory of the event, and it will be a screen memory. Now, if the Norse group is in communication in continuum with me, the animation is so unique, and the theme is always, it appears, to warn governments of Earth regarding armed conflict. These two parties use the continuum to talk to each other, and we have a scenario of one ET group in another galaxy communicating to a second group in another dimension quite routinely. Their comms are quite routine across the continuum, so it's one dimension into a galaxy communicating across vast distances. Their technology is 5 centuries ahead quite easily, so this can be easily done, and in the middle of that is little old me, who they come and see, and I've got to the bottom of why that is, but I'll keep that a secret for now. So that's what we've got. It's so unique what's going on. When they appear to me, the dimensional ones, they always build a bridge across the continuum, and you'll see them on the other side of the bridge waving at me. It's very simple, it's very infantile, it's very basic, and they have said to me that I would not understand their science, but I'm attempting to. I'm having a go, which is good, but I would not understand the deep stuff to do with their science. I would probably understand their spiritual beliefs, they've said to me. So when they appear, it's always from the prospect of waving to me from across a bridge. I'll see them, and they'll build a bridge that I can walk over, and they'll be waving at me, and they look a bit like us, but they're not quite like us. Quite an odd affair what they look like, really, but that's another story. Yes, so during the past two weeks, this has been going on, and what's happened here with them, with these people from across the bridge, the Dimensional ET group, is that they have indicated as to who they were, and it was them. They've confirmed that it was them watching me from the age of 2 years of age. At 2 years of age, I had a mysterious iconic incident where two things walked through a wall. Two individuals, something walked through a wall. It was a metaphor at age 2. At age 2, it was a metaphor, and I've just discovered it now what that was about. It was a symbolic thing that happened to indicate something to me very ancient, very sacred, very fascinating, really. I'll save that for another time as I do more research into it, but it is certainly, they communicated for the first time ever from across the bridge. They communicated a specific word, and that's all it was, a word that summed up what was going on. They only said one word, but it was the animated scenario around that word, what they did, which was quite amazing, and it happened last Saturday. So there you go. Now, it is true that these dimensional ET groupings have a classification. They call human beings Earth human, and they know, it appears, who among the human race can be trusted, who cannot be trusted, and they watch. There are two individuals in particular, actually, from my recent interactions, who are referenced in the UK and are termed responsible Earth human. And they call them responsible Earth humans. And they speak in single words or sentences to me. The rest of it, of what's happened with them, will probably be a screen memory that I won't be able to remember unless it's retrieved. But the interaction has definitely occurred. I have various issues surrounding that, but I think it has. And they've said they've said these 2 words to me, which is deeply personal. That they communicated during last Saturday when they came across the bridge to communicate, like they did. They communicated some deeply personal things to me, and it's interesting. It's very interesting what they were saying, because I don't do sane and sensible, but they do. And isn't that interesting? They, even though they're other people from across a bridge and dimension, they seem to know things. They seem to understand things very clearly, for me, at a very basic drip level. But they class people as Earth human. There's also something called future Earth human, but that's another story, and that's to do with activities in Continuum. But they do seem to know who they can trust and who they can't in the grand scheme of things, and there are some people out there who they would interact with, and they're out there. I'm not going to reveal who they are, but they're there in the public domain currently. They're very choosy, these people, are from across the bridge. So there we go. So we can also say that this group has commented in its most iconic and symbolic way over the responsibility upon oneself in the relaying of the information they are talking about, and a number of personal matters were discussed with them. They were using symbols and images to me. Now, it shall remain deeply personal as to what that was, but it's been heavy going. So you can imagine, can't you, if that is across Continuum, you can imagine that signal attempts to be intercepted, and you get a lot of noise and a lot of stuff coming at you from here, there and everywhere when you're interacting with them. That seems to be the norm with them. So, it's shocked me to realise that this is what, at age 2, they were signalling that it was them. What happened to me at age 2 was actually them watching, which is very interesting. And the vision then shown by the Nordic group across the Continuum, this all happened at the same time, was one once again of Canary Wharf. And once again I have to ask, and we don't know, as I say, nothing is set in stone here. We have to ask if the UK authorities were being warned. It appears warned over matters that may or may not transpire. And they showed me this vision, including aircraft flying all around Canary Wharf Tower, similar to the film Metropolis. And they have normally in the past shown me a local location in their visions, a local landmark they've shown me, and normally in the past they have portrayed beautiful images of UFOs flying all around the landmark, big colourful looking things flying all around. It's as if somebody is waving a flag to our world from another time space, or even from other galaxies and other places, and warning, continually warning, which is interesting. Now, in order for this information to be communicated, the harassment came via exotic mind control technology. It appears to be a type of military dream warfare environment. It remains disgusting this week alone. It just remains absolutely disgusting what goes on. It included, this week alone, because of what I've just explained, the price paid was with delivery of technology, remote mind control technology, the price to give this information to you across the internet, and the model of the internet is utilised into a grander scale as a space-time continuum, I think, at some level by these intelligences. But this week alone, screams, crying, gunfire, buzzing of flies, 3 in the morning, flies buzzing me, all delivered by exotic technology, sound effects, all that kind of thing. Sleep deprivation, images projected while in sleep of myself as a lunatic, and this is the cost, it appears, of helping humanity to a better future. There is a constant theme of interaction, then harassment. So it goes into action with them, then I get whacked. Interaction, then you get whacked. They're never on time with it. There's always a delay, because they can't quite pinpoint when they're coming in and when they're not. And there's some serious ethical questions and issues. I can leave no stone unturned over what's happened with me. I certainly can't. Have to keep an open mind at all times. So this is all going to be covered in the book that I'm writing. It was going to be called Journals of a MILAB, but it's going to be called my book is going to be called High Strange Black, which will cover in some very deep detail the events and my current research in all this. So I hope it gives an insight into the real life world of UFOs and the interaction that goes on with them. There is a cover-up in place, and I was tortured for a number of years by human beings with this advanced technology. To know who you are and to know you have a special place in the world, and the fact that these people know who they are. The silence is deafening, and it appears the watchers are being watched. And as Colonel Corso said in a second book that was never published, which I've actually managed to get a copy of, the case of UFOs or extraterrestrials, we have been led to believe that they do not exist. So, even before we begin to analyse events concerning UFOs and EBEs, we have lost half our battle. This is the point in time where we are at present. The other half, whereby we don't know ourselves, cannot be 100% ruled out, since great men have expressed themselves as believers in the UFO subject, some of which are General Douglas MacArthur, General George Marshall, President Ronald Reagan, General Nathan Twining, General Walter Bedell Smith, Dr. Carl Gustav Jung, and many others. So we can see that there is something going on in our world. A nefarious comedy is being played out behind the scenes, and this is my audio report. Normally they're written, but I thought it would be even better if we could get an audio report up on the net. And I'll come back in the next 2 weeks to a week with another audio report for our dear listeners. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Tony Topping. Over and out for now.